Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts to live well, does true peace remain out of reach? Is happiness merely a game of chance played by fate? The great philosopher Aristotle once famously said, "Happiness depends upon ourselves." Yet even he hesitated. He believed that to be truly happy, one still relied on external factors, wealth, reputation, or a long, complete life. The Stoics, however, refused to compromise. Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius affirm a far more radical truth. Happiness depends only upon ourselves. A virtuous man remains happy even on the rack, even when stripped of everything. Why? Because happiness is not a distant destination. It is the strength of your own character in the face of the storm. Today, let us dissect this dialogue between Aristotle and the Stoics. Let us shatter the illusions of the material world and begin building your own impregnable inner fortress. Aristotle begins his quest with the question of the highest good. We Stoics do the same, but what is that good? Let us examine it. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Aristotle believed that happiness is the ultimate goal. He posited that it depends upon ourselves in the sense that we must actively cultivate virtue. We cannot passively await happiness. For a Stoic, this statement is the cornerstone. Epictetus, my teacher, taught tirelessly about the dichotomy of control. The world is divided into two parts: things that are ours, will, judgment, desire, aversion, and things that are not ours, body, property, reputation, death. When Aristotle says happiness depends upon ourselves, the Stoic would go further. Happiness depends only upon ourselves. Aristotle remained hesitant. He believed that a virtuous man could become unhappy if he encountered extreme misfortune, like King Priam losing Troy. We Stoics reject this. We affirm a virtuous man remains happy even on the rack. Why? Because torture only touches the body. An external, it cannot touch reason, and virtue, the internal. This statement teaches us about the absolute autonomy of the inner self. Never surrender the key to your happiness to anyone or anything external. The weather, the economy, the words of others, or your health, your complete control. The only thing you control is how you respond to them. Your happiness lies in your judgment, not in the event. Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. He identifies eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more accurately human flourishing, as the ultimate goal, telos, toward which all other actions aim. We seek money to have health. We seek health to have happiness. It is the final stop. We agree entirely. Happiness, eudaimonia, is indeed the goal. But the core difference lies in the definition. Aristotle defines it as activity of the soul in accordance with virtue in a complete life sufficiently equipped with external goods. We Stoics define it much more simply and powerfully. Happiness is living in accordance with virtue. Period. No need for a complete life. If you die young but virtuous, you are still happy. No need for external goods. Virtue is sufficient for happiness. This statement forces us to ask, what is my ultimate end? If you pursue money, fame, or pleasure, you are mistaking the means for the end. The only end worth pursuing is to become the best person possible, just courageous, temperate, and wise. When you do that, you are happy right in this moment, not waiting for some result in the future. Happiness is not the destination, it is the manner in which you walk. True happiness flows from the possession of wisdom and virtue, and not from the possession of external goods. Here, Aristotle seems to contradict himself. He downplays the importance of external goods, emphasizing virtue. This is where he stands closest to Stoicism. This is the truth I can imagine Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, nodding upon hearing this. Stoics classify everything external, wealth, health, reputation, poverty, sickness, as indifference. They are neither good nor bad. Why? Because they do not make you a better or worse person. Money cannot make you just. Sickness cannot strip away your courage. Only your judgment can do that. True happiness, a concept Stoics call ataraxia. Inner tranquility comes from a single source, your reason operating in harmony with virtue. External goods are valueless in the quest for happiness. They are merely raw materials for us to practice virtue. You can use wealth to practice compassion, virtue, or greed, vice. You can use sickness to practice patience, virtue, or complaining, vice. Cease chasing shadows. Wealth, status, beauty. They are fleeting shadows. Chase the substance. Wisdom, knowing what is right, and virtue, doing what is right. When you possess these, you possess everything. You are an impregnable fortress, even if you have nothing in your hands. Happiness is a certain kind of activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. He emphasizes that happiness is not a static state, like a feeling of contentment, but an activity, energia. It is a doing, not a having. We agree once again. Stoic happiness is a full-time job. It is a continuous practice. Every morning, it is the activity of reminding oneself of what we control and what we do not. Every time one is insulted, it is the activity of choosing not to be harmed. Every time one faces difficulty, it is the activity of practicing courage. Every time one interacts with others, it is the activity of practicing justice. The soul psyche that Aristotle speaks of for us is the hegemonikon the ruling center of reason. When this command center operates, renders judgment correctly in accordance with the four virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, that is happiness. Do not think happiness is something you will acquire when you retire, when you buy a house, or when you find a partner. Happiness is how you handle the frustrating phone call at 9 a.m. It is how you react when stuck in traffic. It is the activity of choosing virtue over vice, reason over impulsive emotion in every minute moment of life. One swallow does not make a summer, so one day or a short time does not make a man blessed and happy. He emphasizes the importance of persistence and a complete life. Happiness is a summary of an entire life, not a moment. Aristotle is touching upon an important truth: consistency. However, we Stoics possess a different perspective on time. Happiness is not measured by duration, but by quality. A person living 30 years with complete virtue is happier than one living 80 years in confusion and indulgence. When Aristotle mentions a short happy time, he may be confusing pleasure with happiness, eudaimonia. Pleasure is fleeting, like eating a good meal. Stoic happiness is the tranquility that comes from knowing one is living correctly. However, his main point about consistency is correct. Virtue is not a singular act. You cannot be just on Monday and greedy on Tuesday and expect happiness. Happiness is a symphony, not a single note. It requires consistent practice. You cannot build character in a single day. You must demonstrate it every day. Like an athlete training daily, a Stoic must train his soul daily. Do not seek emotional highs. Seek a solid plateau of tranquility and virtue. Man is happiest when doing the work he is best suited for. This relates to his concept of ergon, function, work. The function of a knife is to cut. The function of a human is to use reason. Therefore, the happiest person is the one who uses reason excellently. That is the contemplating philosopher. What is the work best suited for a human? Aristotle was right to say it is using reason. But we Stoics expand this to the entire universe. We are citizens of the universe. Cosmopolitanism. Our work is not merely personal contemplation, but playing our part in the grand drama of the Logos universal reason. Your best suited work is the role that fate has assigned to you, and performing it with virtue. If you are an emperor like Marcus Aurelius, your work is to rule justly. If you are a slave like Epictetus, your work is to endure courageously and maintain your dignity. Do not lament your station in life. Ask in this role, father, mother, employee, artist, janitor, how can I practice virtue? The happiest man is not the one with the best job, most money, most prestige, but the one who, regardless of the job, is doing it with justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom. Happiness is when your external action is perfectly aligned with your internal reason and virtue. That is the work best suited for a human being. Aristotle was right. No one is born courageous or just. These qualities, the excellence of the soul, must be forged. They are the result of ascesis, disciplined, conscious training. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Moral excellence comes about as a result of habit. We become just by doing just acts. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. These 4 quotes are the core of Aristotle's theory of habit formation. He offers a brilliant analogy. Just as men become builders by building or lyre players by playing the lyre, a man becomes just by performing just actions and becomes courageous by performing courageous actions. Action comes first, then habit hexis forms, and from that habit, a stable state of character is created. Excellence arete is the pinnacle of this habit. On the surface, there is nothing to dispute. This is a profound psychological truth. Our own Epictetus said much the same: whatever you focus your mind on, it will become a habit. If you wish to do something, make it a habit. If you do not wish to do something, do not do it. Aristotle gave us the map. However, we Stoics are concerned with the location where this training takes place. Aristotle focuses on external action. You practice sharing money action to become generous character. We Stoics focus on the internal judgment that precedes that action. Consider a soldier in battle. According to Aristotle, he acts courageously, charging at the enemy repeatedly. Gradually, he becomes courageous. According to the Stoic, the true training happens before he charges. It happens in his mind. He trains his judgment. Death is not evil. Being wounded is not evil. They are indifference. The only evil is cowardice, betraying one's comrades and failing in one's duty. He repeats this judgment until it becomes a habit. When that happens, the external courageous action is merely the inevitable, natural result of that trained judgment. The value here is unparalleled. You want to change who you are? Change what you do. But more importantly, change what you think right before you do it. Want to become patient. Do not just try not to scream. Practice the habit of judging that this delay is outside my control. Getting angry will not make it faster. It only harms my inner fortress. Want to become temperate. Do not just try to eat less. Practice the habit of judging that this momentary gratification is not worth my long-term tranquility and health. Your character at the end of the day is the sum of thousands of small judgments you make repeatedly. Excellence is not an act. It is a habit of right judgment, habit of right. The human good is activity of soul in accordance with excellence in a complete life. This is his full definition of eudaimonia. Activity of the soul, energeia, in accordance with excellence, arete, virtue. But he adds the latter clause in a complete life. We see the crack in Aristotle's armor again. We agreed in part 1 that activity of the soul in accordance with excellence is happiness. But why, alas, must he add, in a complete life? This implies that a man who dies young but lived a life of perfect virtue, like a soldier sacrificing himself for his country, cannot be fully happy because his life was not complete in terms of time. This is an error. It once again places happiness in the hands of fate and external. Fate decides the duration of your life, but you decide its quality. We Stoics affirm happiness can be attained in a moment if that moment is lived with perfect virtue. It is not an addition sum over time. You can live 100 years in confusion and never be happy. You can live 30 years with clear reason and die happy. Liberate yourself from the fear of time. Do not worry about having enough time to be happy. Happiness is not a retirement plan. It is the quality of your action and judgment right here, right now. Excellence requires no long duration. It requires only full presence. The greatest virtues are those which are most useful to other persons. He highly valued the polis city-state. Man is a political animal. Virtues like justice and magnificence are considered great because they bring benefit to the entire community. Here, this is where the heart of the Stoic and Aristotle beat in unison. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "That which is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." We Stoics believe in oikeiosis, the idea that we all belong to one another, that reason logos is a common fire illuminating all humanity. We are citizens of the universe. Cosmopolitanism. Therefore, the purpose of internal training, temperance, fortitude, is to serve external action, justice, wisdom. Your inner strength is not for you to admire. It is for you to use for the common good. You train courage not to feel brave, but so you can stand up and defend the right when others are silent. You train temperance not to have a good body, but so you do not take more than your share, leaving enough for others. You train wisdom not to win arguments, but so you can make sound decisions serving your family and community. Virtue is not a selfish journey. Stoic self-improvement is not narcissism. It is preparation for duty. You make your inner fortress strong, not to hide from the world, but to have a safe shelter from which to act in the world effectively and justly. Your virtue is measured by its utility to others. Suffering becomes beautiful when anyone bears great calamities with cheerfulness. This is his concept of the great-souled man, megalopsychos, who endures misfortune with dignity. He acknowledges that great calamities happen and beauty lies in the response. With this statement, Aristotle inadvertently summarized the entire Stoic philosophy. But we must clarify the terminology. We Stoics would say suffering does not exist. Calamities do. Calamities are external events. Sickness, loss of property, exile, betrayal. These are indifferents. They are neither good nor bad. They just are. Suffering is our judgment that these calamities are bad. A trained Stoic will not suffer. He experiences the calamity, but he refuses the judgment that it is evil. So how can he be cheerful? This cheerfulness is not a fake smile. It is eupatheia, the Stoics' state of good, healthy emotion. It is the deep serenity, ataraxia, coming from knowing that 1. This calamity is outside my control. 2. It cannot touch my reason or my virtue. 3. This is a perfect opportunity to practice virtue, fortitude, patience, justice. For the Stoic, the calamity is not what blocks the path. It is the path. It is the whetstone to sharpen our virtue. This is the hardest lesson, but also the most liberating. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray to become a strong person. When difficulty strikes, and it surely will do, not ask, why me? Ask, what virtue does this require of me? Bear sickness with patience, face injustice with courage, accept loss with equanimity. That is when suffering, as others call it, becomes beauty as the sage sees it. That is when your moral habit is put to the ultimate test and shines forth. Education for the Stoic is not the stuffing of information, but learning how to think. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The inscription on the temple at Delphi was a call to awareness of one's strengths, weaknesses, and position within the polis city-state. This statement for us is not merely the beginning, it is the entire journey. Knowing yourself does not mean knowing what your favorite color is, or whether you are introverted or extroverted. Knowing yourself is understanding the nature of your true self. And what is that true self? It is your volition prohairesis. Knowing yourself is drawing a clear, indelible line between 1. What is me? my judgment, my will, my assent, my desire, my aversion. 2. What is not me? My body, my property, my reputation, my family, the weather, the outcome of my actions. The unwise man, the uneducated lives in confusion, considering the body, reputation to be me.
And therefore, when the body is sick or reputation is damaged, he believes he is damaged. He suffers. The sage, the educated, knows that I am the inner fortress. Sickness may attack the body, not me, but it cannot touch my will, which is me. The first and last lesson is self-awareness. Practice observing your own mind. When you are angry, step back and say, an impression of insult has appeared, and I, my will, am choosing to assent to it. This act of observation alone is the beginning of wisdom. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. This is the mark of a critical thinker, one who can analyze an argument, e.g., Plato's fairly, without necessarily agreeing with it. This is perhaps the most important quote in this entire list for a Stoic. This is an exact description of how a trained mind functions. Epictetus taught us that suffering does not come from events, but from our judgment of events. The process unfolds as follows. Impression, fantasia. An event occurs. My boss just yelled at me in front of everyone. This is a thought that is entertained. Chapter 2. Assent. Synkatathesis. The uneducated mind immediately accepts this impression and attaches a value judgment to it. This is terrible. I have been humiliated. This is evil. 3. Consequence. Passion. Negative emotion, suffering arises. Anger, shame, fear. What does an educated mind in the Stoic sense do? It creates a pause. Impression. My boss just yelled at me in front of everyone. My mind is entertaining this thought. Let us test it. He yelled. That is a fact. His voice was loud. That is a fact. People looked. That is a fact. Is this evil or humiliated a fact? That is a judgment. I will entertain this thought, examine it, and refuse to accept the value judgment. He lost his temper. That is his problem belonging to his fortress. My fortress remains safe. Education is training the ability to create a pause between stimulus and response. This is where your freedom and wisdom exist. Do not believe every thought that enters your head. Treat them like guests. Ask where they come from and what they want before deciding to let them into the house. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Learning hard subjects like logic, metaphysics, and ethics requires effort, discipline, and delayed gratification. We understand this better than anyone.
The bitter roots are ascesis, harsh, disciplined training. It is bitter to wake up every morning and practice premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, to prepare the spirit. It is bitter to suppress an outburst of anger when you are treated unfairly. It is bitter to forego easy pleasures like gluttony, laziness, to practice temperance. It is bitter to confront your own false judgments and vices. But what is the sweet fruit? Aristotle might say it is a flourishing life with reputation and respect. We Stoics say the sweet fruit is ataraxia, tranquility, and apatheia, freedom from negative passions. It is an undisturbed peace. It is a fruit that no one can take away from you. It is sweeter than any wine or meal because it belongs entirely to you. Do not shy away from the difficulty of self-training. Embrace it. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are watering that bitter root. Be patient. The sweet fruit of inner serenity is the greatest reward. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation, rather than upon mere survival. He believed the highest life is bios theoretikos, the contemplative life, the life of the philosopher. Mere survival is the life of plants or animals, merely eating, sleeping, and reproducing. We agree deeply. Humans are endowed with a gift, a fragment of the logos, universal reason, the capacity for awareness and contemplation. To live without using it is to deny our human nature. However, Stoic contemplation is not sitting in an ivory tower thinking about abstract forms. Our contemplation is practical and action-oriented, continuously being aware of how our mind is operating, looking out at the world and seeing its rational order, understanding that everything happens for a reason, even if we do not like it. This leads to fati, love of fate, thinking about our roles as parents, children, colleagues, citizens of the universe, and how to fulfill them virtuously. Do not live like a zombie. Do not just exist. Awake. Take time every day, even just 10 minutes, to contemplate. What did you judge today? Did you act according to virtue or vice? What can you do better? An unexamined, uncontemplated life is not worth living. Wit is educated insolence. Probable impossibilities are to be preferred to improbable possibilities. Wit is a comment on social interaction. It is a form of social intelligence. But it often carries insolence because it exposes pretension. Probable impossibilities comes from his poetics. He states that in tragedy, a story that seems plausible but is impossible, like a god intervening, is better than a story that is possible but implausible, an irrational character action. Here we see a massive difference between Aristotle and the Stoic. Wit, clever intelligence, is an indifferent. It is neither good nor bad. It is a social skill like playing the lyre. You can use it for good, to teach a lesson, or bad, to humiliate others. A Stoic sage does not care about being clever. He cares about speaking the truth and speaking justly. Insolence is a sign of the ego, something we try to remove, not educate. Probable impossibilities. This is a disaster from a philosophical perspective. Aristotle is talking about drama storytelling. We Stoics are talking about reality. Our philosophy is anti-drama. Human suffering comes precisely because they prioritize things that seem plausible, the story in their head, over things that are possible, reality. Reality, the possible. Stuck in traffic. Drama, the plausible story. The universe is against me. My day is ruined. This is a catastrophe. And the Stoic is educated to reject the plausible story and accept only the probable reality. We must be physicists of reality, not poets of personal tragedy. Be careful with how you use your intelligence. Do not use it for vanity wit. Use it for virtue. Do not use it to create tragic stories about your life. Use it to dismantle those stories and see the naked truth. Aristotle's model is a useful tool for beginners, but it is a crutch that the sage must cast aside. It is dangerous because it tacitly admits that external things, pleasure, pain, fear, possess value, and that our job is merely to balance them. No. Job is to recognize their worthlessness. The self-indulgent man craves for all pleasant things, by his appetite to choose these at any cost. This is his example of the extreme of excess self-indulgence. The extreme of deficiency would be insensibility. The virtuous mean is temperance. Aristotle described the symptom accurately but misdiagnosed the disease. The problem of the self-indulgent man is not that he is led by appetite. This is a common misunderstanding. We Stoics believe that the hegemonicon reason, ruling faculty, is always in control. His true sickness is a false judgment. He has looked at pleasant things, pleasure, fine food, wine, and judged that these things are good. And because his reason has rendered this false judgment, it directs appetite to pursue them. He is not a slave to passion. He is a slave to his own corrupted reason. Aristotle's solution. Try to balance the desire. The Stoic solution. Heal the reason. Teach it the truth. Pleasant things are not good, they are indifference. Do not try to moderate your desire for external things. Re-educate your desire. Train your reason to desire only one thing: virtue. When you truly believe that virtue is the only good, the appetite for other worthless things will naturally wither away. The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure but to avoid pain. This emphasizes moderation. Do not chase the peak's pleasure, but focus on maintaining a steady state by avoiding the depths, pain. This quote is the flip side of the false coin. It is even more dangerous than the previous one. Why? Because it lays the foundation of your happiness on something completely outside your control, the absence of pain. It implicitly judges that pain is evil. 2. For the Stoic, pain, physical, mental, is a classic, different, good nor bad. It just is. 3. The aim of the wise, the sage, is not to avoid pain. That is a cowardly and futile goal, for fate will surely send pain your way. The aim of the wise is to accept pain virtuously when it comes. Seneca said, "Difficulty is the opportunity for virtue to shine." We do not avoid the whetstone, we use it to sharpen ourselves. Never build your philosophy of life around avoidance of anything external, whether it is avoiding conflict, avoiding poverty, or avoiding pain. Whenever you avoid an external, you have made yourself its slave. Your goal is to pursue an internal thing, virtue, and accept everything else. Courage is a mean with regard to fear and confidence. This is the quintessential example of the golden mean. Deficiency, excessive fear, cowardice. Excessive confidence, rashness, mean balance, courage. This model sounds plausible, but philosophically it is empty. It describes external behavior, not the internal state. The Stoic defines courage completely differently. It is not an amount of emotion. It is a state of wisdom. Courage is knowledge of what is truly terrible, what is not terrible, and what is indifferent. The coward makes a false judgment. Death, injury, loss of honor. Externals are terrible evil. 2. The rash makes a false judgment. Risking life foolishly to impress is good. Good. 3. The courageous Stoic, sage, makes the correct judgment. Death, injury, loss of honor are indifference. The only thing truly terrible, evil, is living cowardly or unjustly. Vice. Therefore, courage is not balancing fear. It is the absence of irrational fear. It is the total replacement of fear with reason. Virtue is not a middle point between two vices. Virtue is an absolute peak, and everything that is not, it is the abyss of vice. Do not try to feel brave. Understand rationally Analyze your fears. Are they logical? Are you fearing an external indifferent or an internal vice? When you correct your judgment, courage will be the natural result. The virtue of justice consists in moderation as regulated by wisdom. Justice is the distribution of the mean, not too much, not too little. And to know where that mean is, you need practical wisdom phronesis. Finally here, Aristotle has touched the truth. He has placed his finger on the key as regulated by wisdom. For the Stoic, the four virtues are not separate things. They are one. They are four aspects of the same thing. A perfect and healthy reason logos, wisdom, knowledge of good virtue, bad vice, and indifferent. This is the foundation. Justice is wisdom applied to social relationships. How to treat others. Temperance is wisdom applied to desire, desiring only virtue. Courage is wisdom applied to fear, fearing only vice. So when Aristotle says justice regulated by wisdom, he is correct, but he did not go far enough. Justice is wisdom. Temperance is wisdom. You cannot be just but unwise. You cannot be temperate but unjust. To have one virtue, you must possess them all. They are not individual skills you choose to learn. They are the result of a single commitment, the commitment to live according to reason. For the Stoic, nature is not trees and rivers. Nature is the rational, perfect order of the entire universe, governed by a universal reason which we call God, fate, or logos. Our purpose is to align our own small reason, the ruling faculty, so that it harmonizes completely with that great reason. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. This is a psychological observation. When you enjoy emotion, something you do, it better result. For the Stoic, the truth is the opposite. Perfection, virtue in the work brings joy. Aristotle speaks of is a we do not seek it. The joy the Stoic seeks is eupatheia, good emotion, specifically deep joy. What is this joy? Coming from knowing that your reason is operating perfectly. You do not work hard to feel happy. You work hard virtuously, justly, diligently, honestly, because it is the right thing to do. Joy is merely the inevitable consequence, the echo of a soul in harmony with reason. Do not pursue passion or pleasure in work. Pursue excellence, virtue. Do the work before you, whether it is ruling an empire or sweeping a floor with maximum focus, justice, and reason. True joy, deep satisfaction will find you on its own. Nature does nothing in vain. This is the foundation of his concept of telos. Everything has a pre-designed purpose. The purpose of an acorn is to become an oak tree. This quote is the entirety of Stoic theology encapsulated in 6 words. We believe the universe is a single rational entity called logos or providence. Everything that happens, no matter what, is part of this perfect rational plan. Nothing is random. Nothing is an error. What does this mean? It means everything that happens to you has a purpose. That useless sickness, it has a purpose to teach you patience and fortitude. That useless loss, it has a purpose to teach you about impermanence and the dichotomy of control. That useless enemy, he has a purpose to train your compassion and justice. The uneducated mind looks at the universe and sees chaos. The Stoic mind looks at the universe and sees perfect order, even in what seems like disaster. This is the antidote to the question, why me? Cease arguing with reality. Cease whining that things should have been different. The universe knows better than you. Instead of resisting fate, love it. This is amor fati, love of fate. When a bad event occurs, do not say, I hate this. Say, the Logos has sent me this stone. I will use it to build my fortress. Nature does nothing in vain. In all things of nature there is something of the marvelous. As a biologist, he saw complexity and beauty in the design of the smallest creatures. It is the admiration of a scientist. The marvelous that Aristotle speaks of, we call God. The marvel lies not only in beautiful things, a sunrise, a flower. The marvel lies in the very order of things. It lies in the laws of physics, in the cycle of the seasons, in the fact that the universe is intelligible to reason. Why? Because the universe is reason. It is a tangible manifestation of God. And the most marvelous thing of all, it is that you possess a piece of that marvelous inside your head. Your hegemonicon ruling faculty is a fragment of the divine Logos. You are a part of God observing itself. Practice seeing the divine in the mundane. This is a spiritual exercise. When you drink a cup of water, contemplate the marvel of gravity of the water cycle, of your body absorbing it. When you look at another person, even a difficult one, recognize the marvel of reason within them, just like yours. This contemplation leads to gratitude, humility, and a deep sense of connection with all existence. You are not an isolated individual. You are a note in the cosmic symphony. Ultimately, the debate between Aristotle and the Stoics is not about finding a winner or a loser. It is about recognizing our own true power. Do not wait for a complete life or external goods to grant you permission to be happy. Those are things we merely borrow from fate, and fate can reclaim them at any time. Remember, the storm outside cannot extinguish the candle within unless you grant it permission. Happiness is not a distant destination. Happiness is virtue. It is peace found right here in this very breath. If you are ready to start building your own inner fortress, comment the words amor fati, love your fate, down below to affirm that commitment. And don't forget to subscribe to continue this journey of wisdom with me. For now, live strong and remain free. I'll see you in the next video.